This is an introduction to rebasing, and in this one we're going to do a workflow similar to what we did in the branching and merging chapter tutorial, except we're going to use rebase instead of merge, and I'll also show you interactive rebasing. So we're going to do largely the same thing. We're in our develop branch. We're going to apply our patch. We're going to stash those changes, and we're going to see that those changes were stashed. Then we're going to go over to our master branch, and we're going to do some other changes. So say we have a hotfix that we need to apply, so we're going to stash our changes in our development branch. We don't want to commit them yet, and we're going to go over to master and run that patch. And again, I can use either git apply or patch-p1 to apply a patch that was made with the git diff command. So I'll run my git commit-v to see the diff and add a useful commit message to that. And I can see through git log that is the latest commit there. So now I'm going to switch back over to my development branch and take a look at where I am. I have two commits in my master branch that the develop does not have, and one in develop that the master branch does not have. So I'm going to merge in the changes from my master branch. Now, I have conflicts, and this is a rebase tutorial, and so I actually didn't want to run merge. So the way that you get out of that is you use git reset. And if you do reset hard, it will go back to the last known good state, the last head that you had, and it'll reset your index in your working directory to that. So it's like undoing it. And now I'm going to rebase it. So I run git rebase master instead, and I get the same conflict. And so I go into that file and I see the conflict, and I fix the conflict and I run git add on that file, and then I can continue the rebase. If you decide that the conflict is too horrendous, you can do git rebase -- abort, and it'll basically do a reset. It'll go back to before you ran the rebase. So now I can see that instead of merging the branch in, it looks like I ran those changes off of the top of the master, like I had the master position, and then I had done my changes on top of that, which is not what happened, but that's what our commit history looks like now. It's a little bit cleaner. So now I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. I'm going to check out a topic branch called story 80, and I'm going to take what's in my stash and I'm going to apply it there and test it out first before pulling it into develop and master. So I can use git stash list to see what I have stashed, and I can do apply to apply the top stash, and normally I could work on this some more, but I'm just going to commit this. So now if I look at my branch, I can see that I have one thing on story that was not on developer master, and one thing on develop that was not on master, but everything is on story. So I'm going to rebase. I'm going to switch over to my development branch, and I'm going to rebase to story 80. And so that will do the same thing as it did before. It'll move the story 80 changes. In this particular case, because story was already off of develop, it just fast forwarded develop. So it would have done the same thing at that point if I'd run git merge or git rebase, because story 80 was a direct descendant of develop. So now I need to move the master branch up to develop. But first, say I have another problem. So I'm going to check out the master branch, and I'm going to merge the development branch. And that's going to do a simple fast forward. So again, it doesn't matter if it's a merge or a rebase, because it's a direct descendant. It's just going to do a fast forward. It's just going to move the thing up. Git and rebase don't make a difference if it's just a fast forward. If one is a simple direct descendant from the other, it only matters if they've branched out. So now I'm going to go back to master. I'm going to go back to a state where master is different, where I have 4 patches on the development branch, and master has actually branched off. So this is more interesting to us, right? A bigger change in what rebase can do. So I'm going to go to my master branch, and I have 4 commits on my development branch that I don't have on my master branch. I need to pull them in, and I want it to look like I just added those commits on top of my master branch rather than merging it in at some point. Like it was just a continuation of the work. It's simpler. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it two different ways so that you can see the difference. I'm going to go to master and check out a master 2 branch, which is basically a pointer to the exact same place, and the same thing with develop. And we're going to do the master 2 and develop 2 differently than we do the master and develop. If I haven't confused you, hopefully you'll see what I'm doing in a minute here. So I'm going to do my master 2 and I'm going to rebase develop 2, and I get the same merge conflict, and I'm going to fix it, run git add, and git rebase continue, and it'll go through the rest of the rebase process. Now I can look at git and I can see that my develop 2 looks like it was just a couple of patches on top of master. It looks like it was 3 commits on top of where master currently was instead of merging it in. So that's what rebase will normally do. Now I'm going to show you interactive rebase, which is a more interesting way of being able to do that rebase but change your history as you go. So the way that you would move master up is you just either rebase or merge, and it does a fast forward again. So that's part one. That's how we can do it with just rebase. So let's do it with interactive rebase. I'm going to check out my develop branch, and the point of this is to rebase it onto my master branch, but I'm going to do it interactively this time. So if you do git rebase -I, then you get thrown into an editor where it shows you all of the commits that you need to rebase. These are all the changes you had since you branched from master. And if you just do pick on all of them, it's exactly the same as just running rebase. It'll just apply those patches one at a time to the master branch and create new commit objects. However, you can do different things. You can do edit if you want to change the commit or modify the tree somehow before you apply it. You can do squash, and it will combine it with the commit above it. So since I did squash on 2 of those lines, it's going to do 1 commit for all 3 of those, and it's going to let me edit the last one. So if you go ahead and start running it, you can see that as I continue, it's going to allow me to re-edit this particular change, and it's going to squash the other ones together into a single commit. And again, I have to fix the conflicts again the same way that I do in the other ones, and run git add on them again and git rebase continue. However, since it's combining these commits into one, it gives me a commit message with the commit messages of all of the commits that I'm combining together with the squash command, and I can create a brand new one, or I can do what I'm doing here, which is just use the 3 commit messages as one new commit message. And then finally I had edit on the last line, so it lets me change this tree and amend the commit if I want to, and I can change the commit message. So now we can see that we haven't completed the rebase yet, so we're still where we were. We have the 4 patches on the one and the master on the other. And so if I go ahead and do the last rebase continue, it finished it, and it moved the develop branch up. And so now I can see after that interactive rebase that instead of 3 patches, I only have 2, and I was able to edit the commit message. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to check out master and merge, which is just going to do a fast forward. And I can see that both versions applied cleanly, but one had 1 fewer commit than the other. And that's part of why interactive rebasing is very cool. So now I'm going to delete my master 2 and develop 2 branches because I had only used them to demonstrate what it was in one way, and I'm left with my other branches, and you can see that I have my changed commit messages, and I have only the 2 patches on top of the original commit.